Yeah, he thinks it's that pump, and it's going to be super expensive to fix.
All right. Well, here's your shout out for graphics work. If anybody needs graphics done, look up our friend right here. Mindy, you can find her at Stall High. Okay, so we are live streaming. Hello, everyone on Facebook, YouTube, and in our new Stall High Online Clinics group on Facebook. I'm Kendra Dixon. If we haven't had the privilege to meet before, I look forward to meeting you this weekend at the Online Spur Clinic. So tomorrow, between the hours of 1 and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to do something that's never been done. Stall High is going to sponsor and produce the very first online spur clinic, specifically around the topic of spurs. Because there are so many people in the world, in the horse world, who are either afraid to use spurs because you don't feel experienced and you think you might hurt your horse or you might get hurt if you try them. There are a lot of people who misunderstand spurs and they think that they're cruel or that they're going to hurt their horse with them. And that is simply not true. And there are some people that are using spurs and for whatever reason, you've plateaued. If you're like me, you never even reconsidered the real value of what you might be missing out on simply by adjusting your spurs a little bit and how you place your boot in the stirrup. This is something that I recently learned, and I was challenged by a mentor who is our clinician this weekend for the Online Spur Clinic. And I immediately saw a difference in my horse and how she responded. So I was very excited about that. It didn't take a lot of effort. It took less. And she was happier. She didn't swish her tail. It's just an awesome story, and I'm excited to share it. Now, today we had Shad Mayfield scheduled. Okay. We just got a text from Shad like 4 minutes ago, and he's being delayed. He's in Calgary. He's competing right now. Shad is ranked #1 in the world standings for the PRCA tie down roping event. He is not only a former world champion, he has been to the national finals rodeo. He's qualified a total of 3 times. And obviously he's sitting pretty and he's going to make it again this year. He's got an amazing horse named Rampage. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to reschedule with Shad. And I want to ask him about his experience with spurs. I'd like to know, how old was he when he started wearing spurs? I'm pretty sure his dad taught him how to use them. What's the backstory there? And I'm curious. I don't know much about Shad's horse Rampage, but I'm curious because he's the kind of competitor that's had an opportunity to ride a lot of different horses in his career and growing up. I'm curious if he's ever won a rodeo without spurs. It'd be interesting to interview all of the professional athletes like that make it to the NFR, professional athletes in the sport of rodeo. How many of them win world titles without spurs? And that's actually an interesting discussion if we expand outside the realm of rodeo. If we look at reining events, if we look at the highest rank of English events, dressage events, Western pleasure, National Cutting Horse Association. I'm curious, how many top level competitors actually win a world title without spurs? I personally don't know these statistics. If someone's watching and you know, please give us a shout out because there's so much misinformation about spurs. I think there's so many hardcore misbeliefs about spurs. People judge others for wearing spurs because you just assume they're cruel, when actually the opposite is more true. And I know that might offend people, but sometimes if you don't know, if you don't have personal experience, it can be offensive. And that's why I'm inviting you to invest in your horse, invest in yourself as a horseman, and join the first ever Online Spur Clinic, because we want to hear from an expert on the subject. His name is James Davison. He's our clinician tomorrow. He's been a paid advocate for horses. He's been a professional trainer for most of his career. He's also an accomplished competitor in the National Cutting Horse Association and the American Quarter Horse Association. And he's an expert problem solver. He is the Wednesday coach at Stall High. At Stall High, we have a team of coaches. We go live every night of the week to help our riders improve with their horse. So we go live every night at 6 p.m. Monday through Friday with question and answer sessions. And we help our riders every step of the way. So James has been an integral part in the success of our riders this year at Stall High, and I'm excited that he's really going to elaborate on the subject of spurs. I'm also excited because American Hat Company is a sponsor. They will be sponsoring a free hat for the Online Spur Clinic tomorrow, as well as Paul Taylor Saddle Company in Aubrey, Texas. They've donated not one, but 2 sets of spurs. So here's the first set. If you're watching and you do need to win a new pair of spurs, here you go. Check out these spur straps because they're awesome. This is for the ladies, spur straps, and the men's spurs right here, sponsored by Paul Taylor Saddle Company. Pretty cool. And these spurs have pins so that you can adjust the rowel. You're going to find out what type of rowel your horse needs tomorrow. That was the mistake I made. I'm giving you a little spoiler alert. See, I assumed because I have had much success in the sport of rodeo with my horses, that one right there, this little roan pony right here, he was the one that did the most for my career. I assumed that because I've been able to climb as high as top 15 standings in the WPRA world standings of barrel racing, I assumed that I knew all I needed to know about spurs. But James Davison opened my eyes just recently, just a few weeks ago, to something that I missed. And it immediately made a difference in my horse. So she got softer. She was able to extend her stride even more. So I was doing a counter arc the first time I felt it, and it took less pressure from my leg. Less pressure versus more pressure. This is the debate. If I circle back when I started this conversation and I said people who think they're cruel or inhumane, you might be watching on TikTok as well. Well, are you okay with using more pressure? How does that sit with you? Have you really thought through it? Now, of course, some horses, there's going to be a rare horse that doesn't respond to spurs. We're here at Stall High to help you determine where your particular horse is at and how to take him to the next level. We want to help through that process and make sure you don't miss anything. You don't miss an opportunity to improve your horse's stride or increase your horse's value or save time on the clock if you're a barrel racer. That's our job, to help coach you through the process so that you make steady progress. You don't get stuck in one spot and falsely assume that's the best your horse could do. So that is my spiel. I'm excited for Shad Mayfield to be able to join us after he has a clear schedule at Calgary. We will reschedule. I'll let everybody know. Laura, do you have anything to add for this weekend's event at the Online Spur Clinic?
Sure. I think maybe just make sure that you go to stallhighclinics.com if you haven't already to register. And then join us on Facebook. We have a Stall High online clinic group on Facebook. And so anytime we have a live event, we're going to share things in there. So you'll be the first to know about events that we're doing. And we also share some pretty cool tidbits from our coaches like James and Kendra in that group as well. So it's really, it's growing, and we're excited to see that and to share some of the valuable information that we're talking about. So join the Stall High online clinic group. And then if you haven't registered for tomorrow, you can go to stallhighclinics.com and sign up then.
Thank you. It's going to be cool to see like how many people show up. We've already had quite a few people pre-register. And if you do pre-register before tomorrow, you will save $200 on your entry fee. Even at full price, $247. If I had known then what I know now, and it spent $247 like 16 years ago or sooner, right? If I'd only known then what I know now, I believe I could have doubled my revenue as someone who made a living in the saddle. I just didn't know this one little tiny adjustment could have made such a huge difference in the way my horses respond to me and the level of their performance. I'm excited looking forward. I'm excited now that I have this information and I've already seen it work. I'm like, well, yeah. Could I have been further along? Could I have gotten all the way to number 1 in the world instead of number 4? I don't know, because I can't go backwards, but I can go forwards. So I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that you're watching TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, here on Zoom. We welcome you at Stall High. We are a group of horsemen and a community of horse advocates who feel like a horse's mental health is just as valuable as their physical condition. The rest of the industry does a fantastic job. There are wonderful products, services, education out there on the physical health of our horses. However, so many people follow the status quo of training that actually neglects the mental health of our horses. And that's where we're finding the gold. That's where we're locating the treasure, and that's where we're getting the breakthrough results. So if any of our members have a minute to speak up, Kevin, do you have a second where you could share about your experience with Stall High for people that might just be catching this live on another platform and this is the first time they've heard of it?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
You don't know what you don't know. And when you have a group of experts that have been doing this for, a lot longer than most of us, I mean, me, I just started. You gain so much knowledge so quickly, and it just keeps on going. You're not going to go wrong with it. Whether you chase barrels or just train your horse, it's horsemanship. So it's good stuff. Thanks.
Well, we always enjoy your input as well, because you're connecting dots, both from your profession, your skill set, and now, working with your own horse and training like start to finish from the ground up. It's interesting to hear your perspective and how that applies to other parts of life as well. So we're glad you're a part of it.
To add one more thing too. So, like he said, it's an overall, yes, some days we are focused on barrels, but it's an overall horsemanship and focus on the mental health of horses. But had you not been receptive to what James had to say, which you very well could have. I mean, it doesn't matter how long you've been writing, but the longer someone's been doing something, it may be the case that they're not receptive, so if you had not been receptive, look what you would have missed out on. I mean, you immediately increased her stride with those tips, so that's kind of my point. I spoke with a sweet lady on the phone who's having an issue the other day, and she's been writing longer than you have, Kendra, and she was receptive, and she was ready to try it. So that's what we're looking for. If you're looking, to improve and be open-minded, you're going to be really pleasantly surprised at how much some changes can make, some even small changes.
So good, Lori. Brilliant point. That's it. You hit the bullseye. You hit the nail on the head. It's just about being receptive to learn. I think so many times we get either in a tangle with the horse or we get frustrated. Like, we understand something's not working, but we're looking in the wrong place for the answer. So we assume that a product is going to fix it. We're trying to find the answer in a feed supplement, in a specific saddle, or a specific approach to the barrel or the cow. Like, we're trying too hard, but we're missing the obvious. And that's where it gets difficult. That's where it gets kind of frustrating. So I think a lot of riders are aware that they're not getting their horse's fullest potential, but they're just looking for answers in the wrong spot. And really, if you'll just, some people, for me, I needed to humble myself a little bit. I didn't realize I was prideful, but apparently I was, and I let that stand in the way of my horse. So now that I have to look in the mirror and take responsibility as a rider, I have to take accountability to change, because I have to look over the course of my career. How many horses did I actually handicap their truest ability just by my lack of knowledge and my unwillingness to seek help or to seek information. We can talk it all day long. We can agree with it. One video this week has gotten 200,000 views on it on TikTok. 200,000 people watched that video, and it's had hundreds and hundreds of comments, but only a fraction of those people have actually signed up for the clinic. So they can agree all day long. Oh, preach it, Kendra. Oh, I got you. We get it. They ain't getting it. They are missing the bullseye. And I'm like, read, like, look between the reins. See the value between the reins. Pick up what we're trying to lay down. Okay. This can change your relationship with your horse. It can change the forever from here going forward. Once you see, you can't not see. A lot of people think they already know. A lot of people already falsely assume that because they've been using them, like me, since like you could walk. You learned to walk with spurs on your boots. Yeah, me too. Okay, good. I was pretty handy with them. But can I be even better? Yes, apparently so. And that's why I'm challenging everyone who's listening. Go sign up for the new Online Spur Clinic. It's happening tomorrow from 1 to 3. It's a wonderful investment of your time. If you truly care about your horse and your career or your relationship with your horse or whatever goals you have set for this particular horse or horses that you own, I believe your horse value and the value of that relationship and your horse's performance is far worth. So it far exceeds in the value of what you're going to spend in time and a few dollars to invest in this knowledge and this wisdom. It will repay you back immediately. It did for me. So I'm confident of that. I will make that promise to you. You will learn more in 2 hours from James Davison. That's our clinician tomorrow in the Online Spur Clinic than most people who ride horses. And I'm even going to go so far as to say most professional horsemen will ever know in their career. We don't want you to miss. I don't want you to miss what I missed. Okay. So that's why we're going to the extreme to reach out to as many people as possible. Please don't assume that you know how to use spurs correctly, even if you've used them your whole life. And if you're afraid to use spurs, if you've tried them before and they didn't work, or if you think your horse can only tolerate bumper spurs, there's something you don't know. Hello, here's your neon sign. You're leaving a lot of time in the arena. If you're a competitor and you're spending all this money going, like burning up and down the road, you put diesel in your truck, you're paying entry fees, you're scratching your head every week going, man, I just don't know why we can't finish our turns very tight. If you're a barrel racer, I just don't understand why my horse is running past the first barrel. I just don't understand. The answer is probably not another product. The answer is in wisdom. So if you're receptive to learn, come hang out with us starting tomorrow. stallhighclinics.com. stallhighclinics.com. That's where you register for this event. Kevin, thank you so much for sharing your experience at Stall High. And Lori, thank you too. We wouldn't be here without you.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I will repost when Shad is available, and we'll do this again. If you have questions for Shad, be ready to ask them. And let's find out, has he ever won a rodeo without wearing spurs? That'll be a cool answer to find out. All right, everybody.
See ya.
See you tomorrow.